The rain poured in torrents across the deserted interstate, transforming the fall evening into a haze of headlights and unease. Sarah Mitchell gripped the steering wheel of her sleek SUV, her hands shaking as she eased onto the roadside. The engine had been sputtering for the last 15 miles, and now it had quit entirely. At 42, Sarah had crafted a life of precision and achievement. As the head of Mitchell Innovations, she dominated corporate meetings and made high-stakes decisions with poise. But tonight, drenched in her tailored navy dress, she felt more exposed than she had in years. Her 7-year-old son, Liam, sat in the back seat, clutching a tattered stuffed dinosaur and watching her with worried green eyes. Liam had been unusually silent during their drive from the law office, sensing something significant had occurred, though he was too young to grasp the legal battle that had just ended. "Mom, why's the car broken?" Liam asked quietly, his voice nearly drowned out by the rain hammering the windows. Sarah turned to her son, forcing her voice to stay calm. "The car's just having a little trouble, buddy. We'll sort it out." But inside, Sarah felt her meticulously built world collapsing. The court decision that afternoon had been crushing. Her business partner had won a lawsuit for control of the company she'd poured 10 years into creating. Her accounts were frozen, her reputation tarnished, and bankruptcy loomed. The SUV they sat in would likely be gone by next week. As if echoing her thoughts, headlights cut through the rain behind them. A weathered van pulled over, and Sarah watched warily as a man stepped out into the storm. He was tall, with a sturdy build, dressed in work clothes that quickly soaked through. Despite the downpour, he approached their vehicle with steady confidence. Sarah cracked her window as he neared. Rain spattered her face as she looked up at him. "Evening," the man said, his voice warm against the cold rain. "I'm Ethan Carter. Saw you stopped here and thought you might need a hand." At 45, Ethan had the calloused hands of someone who worked with machines daily. His dark blonde hair was plastered down by the rain, but his eyes carried a kindness that eased Sarah's nerves. "I'm Sarah," she replied, trying to hold onto some semblance of composure. "The engine just died. I don't know what's wrong." Ethan nodded, thoughtful. "Mind if I check under the hood? Sometimes it's not as bad as it seems." Sarah hesitated, then agreed. She had no alternatives, and something about Ethan's quiet assurance felt trustworthy. As Ethan popped the hood and inspected the engine with a flashlight, Liam leaned forward. "Mom, is he gonna fix our car?" "I hope so, buddy," Sarah said, watching Ethan work with practiced ease. After a few minutes, Ethan returned, rain streaming off his jacket. "Good news. It's not too bad. Your alternator belt's gone. Bad news. You'll need a tow to get it fixed right." Sarah's heart sank. She couldn't afford repairs, let alone a tow. The weight of her situation hit hard, and tears mingled with the rain on her face. "I understand," she said faintly. "Thanks for looking." Ethan caught the tremor in her voice and leaned closer. "You okay?" That simple, sincere question shattered the defenses Sarah had held up all day. Tears flowed freely, and words she hadn't meant to say spilled out. "I lost it all today," she whispered, voice breaking. "My company, my home, my future. Everything I built is gone." Liam, hearing her cry, unbuckled and climbed into the front seat, wrapping his small arms around her. Ethan stood in the rain, taking in the scene. A woman broken by a brutal day and a boy comforting her with pure love. "Sarah?" Ethan said softly. "Can I say something?" She looked up, nodding through tears. Ethan's voice was steady. "You still have him." He nodded toward Liam, who was patting his mother's shoulder. "And he still has you. That's not nothing. That's everything." Something shifted in Sarah's chest. This stranger, this kind man who stopped in the storm, had reminded her of a truth she'd lost sight of. "You're right," she said, hugging Liam tightly. "You're absolutely right." Ethan smiled. "Tell you what, I've got a tow truck at my shop and I keep spare belts in stock. Let me take you and your son somewhere warm, and we'll fix the car tomorrow. No charge." Sarah started to object, but Ethan raised a hand. My dad always said kindness comes back around. Let me help you tonight. Someday, when you're back on your feet, help someone else. Half an hour later, Sarah and Liam sat in the cozy office of Ethan's garage, sipping hot tea from a thermos. Liam had fallen asleep on a small couch, his dinosaur tucked under his chin, finally at peace after the long day. "Ethan," Sarah said as they waited, "I don't know how to thank you. Today was the worst day of my life, but your kindness reminded me what matters." Ethan glanced at Liam, then back at Sarah. "I lost my wife and son in a crash 4 years ago. It taught me that love for the people who matter is all that counts. Everything else can be rebuilt." Sarah's heart ached for this man who'd endured such loss yet still helped others. "I'm so sorry, Ethan. How do you keep going?" "Same way you will," he said simply. "One day at a time, focusing on what's left, not what's gone. You've got a son who loves you completely. That's a foundation for anything." Over the next months, Sarah found Ethan was right. Losing her company was crushing, but it freed her to rethink her priorities. She took a job as a mentor for startups, helping others build their dreams. It paid less, but gave her more time with Liam and purpose in supporting others. Ethan became a close friend to both. He fixed their car for free, but more importantly, he showed them what resilience looked like. Liam adored him, and Sarah found in Ethan a steady presence that helped her regain her strength. A year later, Sarah stood in the lot of Ethan's garage, watching Liam help him sort tools. She just signed papers to launch her own mentoring firm. The first person she wanted to share the news with was the man who'd reminded her of her worth when she'd forgotten it. "Ethan," she called, "I've got news." He looked up from an engine, wiping his hands. "Good news, I hope." Sarah grinned, a spark returning to her eyes. "The best. I'm starting my own firm, a real one, built on the right foundation." Ethan hugged her warmly. "I knew you'd find your way. You had it in you all along." Liam ran over, hugging them both. "Are we celebrating? Can we get ice cream?" Sarah laughed, scooping him up. "Yes, buddy, we're celebrating." As they headed to Ethan's van for ice cream, Sarah reflected on the past year. She'd lost her company, her house, her savings. But Ethan was right about what mattered most. She had Liam and Liam had her. Everything else was rebuilt around that core of love. Sometimes, Sarah thought, you lose everything to find what you can't live without. And sometimes, a stranger's kindness reminds you that love is the only wealth that truly matters.